Let's talk. We wanna welcome you to SAZETU. Let's talk. This show's alive because of SAZETU.
SAZETU is brought to you by Maine Spirits. Learn more about the delicious spirits they import into the great state of Maine and the cocktails you can make with them at mainspirits.com or by downloading their app for your smartphone or visiting them on Instagram at Maine_spirits. Promotional consideration by State Theatre Portland. Visit statetheatreportland.com for an up-to-date schedule of virtual events and upcoming announcements as we get closer to normalcy. And Sun Tiki Studios, a top-notch rehearsal and performance facility located on Forest Avenue in Portland, Maine. Learn more at suntikistudios.com.
Welcome to Happy Hour, brought to you by Maine Spirits. What is Maine Spirits, you might be asking? Well, Maine Spirits brings all of the delicious liquors and liqueurs into the great state of Maine. I have a video series I do with them. If you'd like to check it out, maybe pause right here and go to their YouTube channel and check it out. It's called Happy Hour, just like this. And every week I have someone call in with a bottle of liquor or liqueur that they have on their shelf, and they make a drink with it, or maybe they want to switch it up or whatever. So they have this bottle sitting on their shelf, and I show them how to make another drink with it. So this week, Scott called in, and he's got a bottle of absinthe. We've used absinthe before many times on this show. And actually, the drink that he makes with the absinthe is the drink that we've made many times, the Sazerac, which is rye whiskey, Peychaud's bitter sugar, and absinthe, rinse in the glass. So what is absinthe? Absinthe is an anise-flavored spirit derived from plants. It was illegal for a while because it used to use wormwood, which would make people like hallucinate and maybe solve crimes, Jack the Ripper era kind of opium den vibe. So they ended up taming it and putting it back on the market. It had a big surge in the 90s, but it's kind of stuck around, and it's a pretty great liqueur to use. So I'm going to show Scott and you how to make a different cocktail with absinthe. We are going to make a corpse reviver. In a shaker full of ice, add the following: 1 ounce gin, 1 ounce lemon juice, 1 ounce Cointreau, 1 ounce dry vermouth, and a half a teaspoon of absinthe. Stir that until cold, and then strain that into a coupe glass, and then garnish it with an orange peel. Now raise the glass, admire it, take a sip. Strangely enough, the Corpse Reviver was originally designed as a morning cocktail, aka make you feel better, aka hair of the dog. We don't encourage that kind of behavior here on the show. This has been Happy Hour, brought to you by Maine Spirits. You can learn more about this cocktail and many other cocktails by visiting mainspirits.com, where you can see the videos. Go check them out. You can also follow them on Instagram at main_spirits, or you can download their app for your smartphone, which is a smart move. What to buy, where to buy it, and what to do with it once you get it. But no matter what you do and what you download and where you look at this stuff, please drink deliciously and responsibly. So, in preparation for the program, look, we're going to talk about blowing up the show. Don't worry.
Don't worry, we will get to that.
We'll get to that. We will blow up the show. But also, I suggested to Zach, and he agreed. I'd like to spend a minute talk about Conan leaving the late night sphere, traditional late night talk show sphere. And also, he's not going away. He's got another project coming up. We have his, his podcast, hopefully, to keep listening to. So we won't be without that input. But if I may, Zach.
And you may.
I have some thoughts on why, to me, him stepping down is so significant. For me, the late night TV show format is the greatest thing going, because it's got it all. You get a little bit of news, you get some laughs, you maybe luck out and there's a guest where the guest and the host have like that, incredible chemistry, be that like Rodney Dangerfield and Johnny Carson, or Bill Murray and Letterman, classic combos. Bill Burr and Conan is a great one. Matt Damon and Jimmy Kimmel, even though they pretend to have this ridiculous feud, which makes it better. but then you get music, or back in the day you got music, and that's kind of like come to a close a little bit. And I'll call myself a student of late night era David Letterman, and I watched that show actually quite a bit. It's like one of the things that kind of keeps me like, okay, I'll always have a connection to it, because back in the day, like, you either watched it or you didn't.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, you didn't get to YouTube it the next day.
Right. Or you'd have
watch
to
it
like
on demand, whatever.
Right. If you had a VCR and you were disciplined, you could grab it. But I also just, stayed up late and watched it. I would watch Late Night with David Letterman on a TV, like a tube TV, like a little TV with a headphone jack in it.
Yeah.
My parents didn't. Well, maybe they did know, but I watched it.
They know. Parents always know.
They always know. What's he doing again? So yeah, I just grew, like, that was the thing. That and SNL were my two, other than, music obviously, but as far as the thing that I was a fan, like, I'm a fan of music, but I'm also in it, right? So it's like I've got to see, you and I have seen behind the curtain as far as the entertainment spectacle is concerned. But there's still an air of mystery to Late Night for me. And having Conan step down from that is significant to me. I really like Conan a lot. Like, I think he does a great job with stuff. There's some people who are like bonky go ape shit for Conan, like his people, like, but I'm a fan, you know what I mean? Like, but I wouldn't put myself in like wake up every day and watch it first thing. But there was a period of time, so I listened to his show every week. I love that show. And I used to watch him all the time when he took over for Letterman, when Letterman got whisked away to CBS for the 11:30 hour. Conan took his spot. It took him a minute. It wasn't good at first. But he rose to the occasion and made something like Letterman's show is so special there because the music was very much part of it. Like the band was in it, like more so than like a Doc Severinsen kind of like, you got it, Johnny. They're interactive. They were involved in like bits. And I know Doc was too, but it was just different with Letterman. Also because Paul, the band leader, was his sidekick. That's a big way. And just the way they'd have music. I don't know if you've seen like the comedy and the music, like James Brown performing on that show with the Late Night Band and them just crushing it. And he just did that James Brown. They played for like 20 minutes.
So awesome.
Oh, it's incredible. And Warren Zevon, or if Paul would take off, they'd always have some like hip as hell person, sitting in like as the quote band leader. Just a clip I saw the other night was Eddie Van Halen was in the band.
Oh, nice.
And Johnny Carson was the guest.
Oh, killer.
Johnny Carson never went on Leno's Tonight Show. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He only appeared on Letterman.
But I also didn't know that he was on Letterman until you just told me. So
he was on Letterman a handful of times, and each one of them are very special. Especially when he went over to, after the Late Night Wars, he went over to Letterman's show, which is, just a huge kick in the jaw for Jay, right?
Yeah.
I call him Jay because he's an asshole.
I thought it was because you were best friends.
Oh, right. That's why I meant best friends. Because he drove by us at the Burbank airport one time in his fucking car made of old pickle barrels and leather straps. What do you need in your life, Jay? If I get a real kick out of this. Needs to be seen, just needs to be seen in public. He probably thinks he's doing the world I guess I'm talking about it, so it left a lasting memory, but for me it was more like, what the fuck? Go away.
Yeah, I never really watched Leno, but maybe that's because I never found him that funny when I did tune in.
No. I'm the same way.
Something about him just always rubbed me the wrong way, and I just never even gave him the time of day.
Yep. And it's probably the very thing that Letterman talked about the whole time, that he talked about again when Conan got kicked off the Tonight Show because Jay wanted his job back. It's just like, Letterman would say like, that's the Jay I know. That's vintage Jay, So it's a lesson in like, also like not like when I talk to my therapist, like I think about Jay Leno a lot. I'm like, am I Lenoing this shit? You don't want to Jay Leno your way through life. You don't want to become number one like that. Not that way.
Yeah.
It's a bad number one where a bunch of like, milk toast, Midwest couch surfers will think that you're the bee's knees, sitting there waiting for their publisher's clearinghouse check. But like anybody who has like any respect for the business is like, fuck that guy. Is it worth it just to only appear on the cover of AARP Monthly?
Sorry, I'm sure he's in the classic car magazines every month though too, with his pickle barrel leather strap car.
Yeah, like another thing I've learned through Letterman's jokes is like he would stop and help people like on the side of the road, like change a tire, but he'd have a camera crew with him. And just listening to Jay like rip on him, or not Jay, Dave rip on him about that is unbelievable. Like any good person, you stop and help someone change their tire. Like any good person, you bring along a camera crew just to make sure everyone knows you did it.
Yeah, it's right. The whole kind of late night wars thing to me is it seems so strange because by the time I started paying attention, everybody was kind of settled in.
Right.
Letterman was already on CBS, and Conan already had Leno already had the Tonight Show.
Right.
So I feel like it was like, I think Comedy Central or somebody made a made-for-TV movie about it. And
it was HBO, actually.
Oh, okay. Maybe they just played it on Comedy Central a few times after the fact.
It's entirely possible. It's not that funny intentionally.
But yeah, that was like my introduction to the fact that there had been that whole thing. And maybe that's part of it too, because I always found Letterman funny, and I was just like, what? So Letterman lost the battle, I guess, for like the coveted Tonight Show to this guy? Mm-hmm. And that's actually probably part of another reason why I didn't watch Leno. That's probably why he also rubbed me the wrong way. Because the best man didn't win.
Yeah, Jay, it really felt like Jay weaseled his way in there. Mm-hmm. And all evidence kind of like points to that, and him not ever kowtowing, to like, we all know, and it'd be one thing if you're like, I don't appreciate how I did that. And it's like, okay, now we're talking. But there's no acknowledgement of it whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And in his brain, like another great Letterman moment is he had Conan on after he lost the Tonight Show. Mm-hmm. And, Conan O'Brien, he sits down, the band stops playing, and then they're just sitting there, and Dave's just like, Conan's like, okay. Like, it's just like not talking. And finally, Dave goes something to the effect of, the longer we sit here, the more nervous Jay's going to get. Knowing that he's watching. Yeah. Jay's almost, it seems like Trumpy in a way. Just that need for adoration. Now that he's not president, I'll say his name on the show.
Yeah, Conan very much feels like the late night legend of our generation, though. I mean, he's the one that, for me anyway, like watched, all the way from the new guy that nobody liked to now us being sad that he is no longer going to be on late night.
Right.
And also, like, it's just the fact that it seems like he's kind of got a bad rap the whole time, as far as whatever. I mean, he had a long running show on NBC, and then for a second had that Tonight Show slot, and then moved to TBS. It's just how he's been kind of thrown around a little bit, but persevering throughout it all. It's been interesting to watch, and also like watching some of the clips of the guests that have been on his show over the past couple weeks. So many of them, like I don't know. When I watched Mila Kunis, Sarah Silverman. Paul Rudd showed up with Bill Hader at one point.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
Everybody's just been.
Did you see Dana Carvey's bit?
I did not see the Dana Carvey bit.
Yeah, get in there. You'll love it.
Nice. But yeah, every guest that has been on over the past couple of weeks has been like, I was on your show early in both of our careers.
That's right.
They have nothing but good things to say about him, about how how pleasant he was and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How they helped him, whatever. He helped them feel comfortable on television and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
It seems as though, by all accounts, he's a very giving host. Do you remember when he walked by us in New York?
Oh, yeah. It was that when we were trying to actually go to a taping of the show? And
No,
failed
we
to get
were
tickets?
playing some stupid boardroom show for people who already gave us money and had a deal with us to garner interest within the company so they'd pay attention to us, even though they already signed us.
Wow.
The fucking stupidity of the music business. And as we're loading gear, Conan wheeled by in this like bronze suit. I just remember, like, first of all, I was like, look at this tall Conan O'Brien. Like, what a striking looking motherfucker. Like, unbelievable. He had this big confident stride. He was like, probably, he's making good ground with those getaway sticks of his. Good Lord.
Yeah. I mean,
He's probably going 50 miles an hour just walking. Yeah. You guys tried to go see a taping when we were down there recording or something? Is that what was happening?
That's right, yeah. I thought you were with us. I can't remember. We
may have been.
Maybe a day off in New York, or for some reason we had time to spare in the city, which was kind of unusual because usually we were there with a purpose.
Right.
But yeah, we went and tried to get tickets to go to the taping of Conan, and they were already gone. I mean, they're free. You just have to get in line and say you want one. Or I don't know, I guess you could probably reserve them online. I don't know how it works now, but back then anyway, we went to the studio and the Conan tickets were gone. So we ended up getting tickets to Carson Daly instead.
I was not there for that.
Okay,
I know this confidently. Yeah.
We did get the guests that we saw were not so awesome. It was like, do you remember they made a prequel to Dumb and Dumber?
Oh yeah.
So it was the kids that were in that were like the talking guests, and I think they did both segments. And then, but the musical guest was Mellencamp, which was actually kind of awesome.
I remember this story.
Yeah, and so we just watched Mellencamp sitting off at the side, chain smoking the whole time until it was time for him to sing, and then or be on camera, and somebody would come and take his cigarette away. That was kind of fascinating to watch the whole time. Just somebody, he had a cigarette roadie that would just keep a lit cigarette in his hands at all times.
Gross. Yeah, didn't he smoke like 4 packs a day?
Something like that. I mean, I remember watching his Behind the Music when I was a kid and being shocked at the fact that he had heart attacks like in his early 20s from smoking. I think it was one of those things. Yeah, they were like, you should stop. But apparently he hadn't in whatever year that was, 2004 or 5. Who knows where he's at now.
He said, I'll quit smoking when my forehead reaches 12 inches in length. He's almost there. He might quit soon.
But yeah, it would have been fun to go to a taping of Conan. I did get to go to when our friends, the Ghost of Paul Revere, were on Conan.
Yes.
Got to hang out with them at the Warner Brothers studio.
Fun.
And that was a ton of fun. And see them perform on the show.
Oh, you get to go to the show?
Yeah.
Oh, so you did go see a taping of Conan.
I did, but I only saw their performance. I mean, I watched the rest of the show from the green room.
Gotcha.
And then when they were on, there was like a break, and I went up in the balcony and watched them perform. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. How cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I've just never been close to either. And what makes Conan, you kind of touched upon it, like he's our generation's Conan,
Yeah.
And I kind of do straddle a line a little bit where like, I caught the end of Carson, right? Mm-hmm. I caught most of Letterman, like career total, right? Mm-hmm. And I caught most of Conan as well. I was there from the beginning, but like I kind of like weaved in and out, just when he hit TBS. Like I would watch bits, but not the show. But yeah, I guess why I'm saying this is it kind of leads to the significance for me is that like he took over that Letterman spot, which was like for my money, the best entertainment program in the history of entertainment programs. Mm-hmm. And then Conan came in with huge shoes to fill. Like, you know, Letterman had like the best guests, the best music. Like he was just the best jokes, the worst jokes, which were the best jokes again, you know? Yeah. Just his attention to stupidity and riding that line between clever and stupid. Mm-hmm. It's a fine line.
Although he came in with an excellent band right off the bat, like the Max Weinberg 7, were awesome.
Awesome.
And having Andy Richter as a co-host was awesome. Mm-hmm. And then even I think like Robert Schmeigel was doing some of the writing for the bits. And
he was the producer first year.
Oh, okay, well, that makes sense.
And then writer, yeah.
And then I remember seeing like Amy Poehler back before I knew who she was, playing some of the characters on that too.
Yep. They kind of accepted that influx from the Upright Citizens Brigade of that great graduating class. You know, it just seems like, you know, everybody that we know now, like our contemporaries, like our people, right, are like they all kind of were born out of that. I kind of wish that we had something like that here. I would participate. You know, sometimes I think like maybe I don't know, like see what they have for classes and just go out and like take one, you know, like, I don't know, be fun. But also like, it's also one of those things where it's like, you know, that kind of, that's like lightning in a bottle, right? Second City had their moment. Not to say they're not a good facility still, but like, you know, the next movement's going to come out of somewhere you don't expect it. And that's how that goes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Conan like coming into Dave's spot and kind of not working at first, but like maintaining the chaos and the absurdity. Like there was just like Letterman had insane shit on his show. I remember one show, I probably mentioned it on this program before, but he like came out, did the monologue, finished the monologue. Then there was a robot cam, or with a remote control robot with a camera on it that smashed into a wall of GE products because that was the parent company at the time. And then he sat down at the desk and fired off a confetti cannon. and then it's like, my first guess is like, oh my God, we're 1 minute into the show. Like, it's insane. And I know, like, by all accounts, like I've read, it's really like was a rough time. Like it was not like a gleeful crew. Like Dave Letterman did not sail through his career, you know, unscathed or by not scathing anybody. You know what I mean? He's a very complex character. I sincerely enjoy reading about him. Not because I take pleasure in someone else's like misery or failure, but because it's like, oh, it's relatable. You know, like, yeah, so for Conan to take that spot over and just like maintain that level of, I don't know, it was like a clubhouse. It was just like Pee-wee's Playhouse Live in a way, you know. It was just always evolving, the crazy characters, like Triumph, the insult comic dog. Like if there was one gift that Late Night with Conan O'Brien bestowed upon the world, it's that, you know. Yeah. Unbelievable.
I loved it. Yeah, just his rando characters too, like Preparation H. Raymond. And, his Awareness Dell, making people aware of Delaware.
Delawareness.
The Masturbating Bear.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. The guy that says, and that's fantastic.
And then the recurring bits like, in the year 2000.
Yeah. Doing it past the year 2000.
Yeah. Or do you remember Secrets?
Yep. Yeah.
Shatner. Secrets.
Yeah, or his producer Jordan Schlansky. What a character! Like are you familiar with Jordan?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did you see the episode with I think actually we talked about it when we were doing Indiana Jones, but Harrison Ford on Conan.
Oh yeah.
What whip did you? Who gives a shit? But just the shit that he would pull on Schlansky is like unbelievable.
I also love Conan's relationship with his assistant Sona.
Oh, absolutely.
Like all those bits are always so funny because she's just like such a good sport and like really quick as well. Like she kind of like keeps up with Conan. Like she's a great.
She sticks it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts about their podcast. It's just I was actually just listening today. They had Deezus and Mero on, who are two talk show hosts I was unfamiliar with until now. But I will be checking them out for sure because they were hilarious. And apparently they have like a huge podcast and television show. It's just like, I don't know. I try to keep up. I don't know.
It's difficult. There's a lot of stuff out there.
Sona and there really is. Sona and Matt Gorley is the producer of that show, and Conan they really figured it out. Like they have this really great chemistry now. You know, for a while it felt uncertain about where you could tell that they just weren't sure where they were stepping necessarily. But Sona, like one thing that was a constant is Sona would just like, you know, basically tell Conan to pack it in his ass, you know, like, which he knows is true, and he feigns the insult, you know. Yeah, their relationship's amazing, and yeah, just like having that, he was kind of like the last vestige of like, I don't feel like I see bands on Kimmel, you know. I know there's been like COVID and shit, but like I know they have bands, but it's just different. I felt like Letterman and Conan had a very similar approach to having live music on their show. It felt like very much like a part of the program, you know, and not just like another guest.
Yeah. I've actually been to a few of the tapings for Jimmy Kimmel's musical guests.
Yeah.
That's like it's like a separate thing from his show. Like it's,
right.
He records the musical guests in like a lot behind the studio.
Right.
And it's a separate ticket. So like it's a completely different audience for the music than it is for the actual comedy show or the variety show, whatever. And, but it's cool because it's almost a mini concert. Like the musical guest will play for like a half hour, even though they only play 2 songs on the actual show. But I saw Bonnie Raitt.
Oh, wow.
And then I went with a friend to see Ben Harper. I'm not a huge Ben Harper fan, but you know, it was still cool to go see him for a half hour.
Yeah, that's a good amount of time to see Ben Harper.
Yeah.
15 minutes to a half hour. Bonnie, I could watch all night, though.
Oh, same.
Yeah, but just having that, like, leave, you know, that attention to music, leave suddenly. It's just like I realized that, okay, like my favorite hosts are Letterman, they are Conan, they are Carson, just because that was like kind of my imprint, you know. And then Arsenio, I used to love Arsenio Hall.
Oh, same.
Yeah, that was like my show. That I felt like, because with Letterman, I felt like I was like trying to catch up and be in the club because it had already started before me, you know. But like, you know, Arsenio was there from like Jump Street, and it was awesome. Like all like, that's where like all the cool shit was, like all the stuff that, you know, like I was listening to or watching or. I wonder why he stopped. Was it a ratings thing? I should look into
know. I've always wondered about that. Yeah, because he was on top for a while. Like I remember, like just during his like, you know, the twirling arm rally cry, or whatever. Like,
you talking about "Let's get busy"?
Yeah, and he's like, woo, woo, woo.
Yep, yep, and he'd finger in the air.
Yeah, he'd have like Eddie Murphy and Michael Jackson on all the time, and like all the coolest people were always on his show.
Always, yeah. He got like I mean, that was where Bill Clinton played saxophone.
That's
to
right.
woo the American public.
That's all it took for
Well, he
him.
plays saxophone. Well, he's got my vote.
That guy
He's
is cool.
Look at his Ray-Bans. He should be president. He should drive. But yeah, that I mean, and then Kimmel for me is like the last vestige of the traditional late night that I know of. Now I'm always happy to like find out where the next thing is. I know Tiffany Haddish has a new program called Friday Night Vibes. It's gonna be a weekly. I look
I
forward
didn't
to that.
know that, but I find her very funny.
I'm gonna check out. Oh my god, she's ridiculous. Did you see that movie? I can't think of the dude's name. It's like kind of like or the name of the movie, which is so stupid. I watched it fairly recently. He's a popular comedian. You'd know him if you saw him, and he had that movie that was like kind of like Jackass style. It was like called like Bad Road Trip or something.
It's not ringing a bell.
So it's a combination of like scripted and filmed in real life stuff. And the plot involves these guys just having basically a terrible road trip in a vehicle that they stole from one of their sisters who is in prison but broke out and wants her car. Played by Tiffany Haddish. It was just fucking... She just... Oh my God. She just chews up the scenery every scene she's in. It's just like... She's just got it. She's so funny. Like you can't stop watching her, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll look forward to that. And then Jesus and Mero, like I said... And, you know, no shade to Colbert or James Corden. They just don't ring my bell.
I get into Colbert, but I know that he's a little bit more left-leaning political than I think, everybody has tolerance for.
Well, I don't even mind that because I knew that going into it. I mean, if you didn't know that about Colbert after the Colbert Report.
Yeah, even though on the Colbert Report he pretended he was right-leaning.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think there are people that really thought that he was like a Republican pundit?
I wonder sometimes.
Because he never fucking broke character. It's unbelievable. And that I guess that's what it is for me. I find Colbert to be more of a comedic actor and a fucking great one. He's funny, you know. He's got an awesome band. Like all the pieces are there, but for some reason it's just like, I don't know. It's just like it doesn't connect with me because I feel like because he's acting like a talk show host. That's what I think it is, and he's doing a very good job at it. But I would just rather see him do not. I don't know. It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And James Corden is just. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what you were about to say, but I agree with you.
Well, I was going to say James. I was going to leave James Corden in peace because he seems like a really nice person and all that stuff. And just move over to Fallon and just be like, what the fuck is happening with that program? This is when I mean, there's a lot to love about Fallon. Like, he's got the Roots, for instance. That's awesome.
Yep.
You know, I mean, the best band in the business right now, right? Like, at least on late night. It's it's fucking Roots. It's the Roots.
Yeah. Although
you were gonna say maybe John Batiste's band is also ripping.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, John Batiste is. Like, I think I was talking to you about it the other day. I mean, not that the Roots aren't, but that John Batiste just continuously blows my mind every time I see him. Like, break out a new trick that I didn't know he had.
He's incredibly talented.
Yeah.
Yep, there's no doubt about it. But like with Fallon, for me, when that show lost me was when it's just like all these gimmicks and games, and it's just like, what is this? The fucking Price is Right, like.
Jimmy Fallon seems like a very nice guy, but
yeah,
I've
totally.
never ever found him funny. I mean, other than he does some good musical impressions. That's about
nice
it.
Neil Young.
Like, I didn't enjoy him on Saturday Night Live.
Not really.
And I don't think he is good at interviewing guests. Like, and I don't think he's
pandering.
Funny. And
it's always pandering.
That just seems like either being as nice as he is took him very far, or he's lucky, or he knows somebody. I don't know, but he's one of those people that I'm just like, how did you make it this far? How did you
get the Tonight Show? But if you think about it, like Jay Leno wasn't funny either.
Yeah.
So maybe he kind of like is scratching that. Maybe that's what the Tonight Show is. Maybe it's just like. But the thing is, like, Carson wasn't that. Carson was super edgy.
Yeah.
Like he would not suffer fools gladly. And it was very visible on air when he was displeased with what was going on, which is why that made like Letterman the perfect successor for him. He had that Midwest charm, but also just like this biting, like the eyes of judgment. It's like, whoa, what's going to happen here? But yeah, Fallon is like, I mean, he's chummy. I think he made it this far because he's smiley and nice, and people like him, and he makes friends with people, and he just promotes them. I'm not like, none of these things are bad qualities. I just don't think it's funny.
Yeah, just don't think it's funny.
And he kind of lost me when he had, there's like the obviously the TikTok trend. You've heard of the TikTok?
I've heard of it,
but yeah. But there's like, I would say probably like maybe 7-8 months ago, there started this trend of like, there's like these little like dance troops almost on TikTok. And they would do these videos where they do these kind of like micro moves, but like all together, all choreographed and everything. And they've time altered. I think they shoot it slower and then speed it up. So like they're moving faster. It like feels like kind of unnatural. Right. And it's cool. Like, I mean, like objectively, it just like looks cool. It was like a new thing. It was like awesome. But then Fallon had these dancers on to do their TikTok dances in front of a live audience. And they're like 15 seconds long. It's like, what are you doing? Like, this is a thing that exists on TikTok. I'm not saying these humans won't turn into like great performers, you know what I mean? Like their careers like may be ahead of them. Like, they obviously like they have an understanding of how the movement of the human body and all this stuff. Like they've got the tools, but it's just like a 15-second dance routine isn't really like.
It's not great.
Is that even like worth the? Like, what is it? Like that's TikTok. If I wanted to watch fucking TikTok, I'd watch TikTok. Yeah. So stop it. Be a fucking television show. I
mean, I wonder if that's them trying to, because like people that get famous now, other than like movie stars, like I don't know, like people get internet famous through TikTok videos and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if it's them just trying to like bring that into television, thinking it's going to make their ratings go up or something. But
yes, that's all it is.
Yeah, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, TikTok is like a very specific format that I don't understand. But it's only a 15-second act is not like a 3-minute pop song that you can perform.
Yeah, are they going to bring like some some gamer in from like Twitch?
Yeah, just have them play video games.
Like, that's for Twitch. Like, put it back on that. That's what that's for. That's where people want to see it. That's where it should be seen. And anyone who's tuning into a television program is looking for a television program. You've got a budget, for Christ's sake. These people are making these videos for no money.
Yeah. They've got a budget that flew those people out to New York, put them up at a place like for them to perform for
that appearance,
literally 15 seconds.
15 seconds. And then so the band be like, and now they're going to do the song called The Bread Tag. and they cue the music and they dance for like 10-15 seconds and stop, and the Roots be like, ba-dan. I'm just like, the fuck did I just see? The other thing too is that it doesn't look the same because it's happening in real time, right? Like unlike the TikTok videos where they're time altered, so you're losing like a whole element. Hopefully they'll go on and get hired to do the third reboot of West Side Story or something, and may they have long careers, but what the fuck is that? Stop. Stop it on TV. And it's not even their fault. Like I would, like if I had a video of me, like, you know what I mean, like cracking walnuts in the back of my knees or something, and like they're like, "Come on, TV and do it." I'd be like, "Wow, they really like my knees, my walnut cracking video."
I mean, I guess like didn't Letterman used to have like the stupid human tricks? Like,
yes, but it was called Stupid Human Tricks.
that's true. You knew what you were getting into.
It wasn't a guest on the show. And again, like this does. I don't want this to sound like an indictment of like young people and new mediums and everything. It's really more like the older medium trying to catch up with by chasing trends that have nothing to do with what it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what like you want to know what's going on? Have them on and sit them in the chair and be like, "So what is this like? What are you doing here?" Like, just, and show the videos that they've made. Mm-hmm. You've got 85 million views on this. It's incredible. You know what I mean? Like, and find out like how they started doing it, what their inspiration was. Don't like it was just so it was not successful according to me, but whatever. But yeah, like with Conan stepping down, like that leaves for my money Kimmel and whoever comes next. Mm-hmm. So hopefully there's some geniuses in the wing ready to basically do what Letterman did, right? Which is take it and turn it on its ear and blow it up. Mm-hmm. Speaking of blowing it up, Jones.
Go on.
As you may have, when you joined in, Let's Blow Up the Show Part 2, we didn't mention anything about Conan, but I felt like it worthy to speak of for a minute. Being a meaningful person in a meaningful format that means a lot to me, maybe you as well, Jones. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the last show we were having a discussion about what we want to do next with the show. And I think well, first of all, when Zach joined, we rebranded the show, and then a season later we put a new skin on it. And so I think I like doing that. I don't know about you, Jones.
Yeah, well, keep it fresh.
It's fun.
It's fun.
So like, what do we do with it next? And also like coming out of COVID and having this whole period of time where, it was very, it was you and I with an occasional phoner, right? Mm-hmm. And that kind of changed my perspective on the show and like what I wanted it to be, or where I not wanted it. I could just see us going somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Because one thing I found.
Oh, sorry.
Please, no, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, as you were sort of hinting toward, is that pretty much the whole world was closed to us over the past couple of years, which was why it was just you and I and the occasional phoner. But there is opportunity now to have people on, to talk to guests, to go to places and talk to people there. There's more to work with if we put our minds together and figure out what we want to do.
We can do it.
Yeah, we
can do more access. But also, you come out of your COVID chrysalis a different butterfly, right? Mm-hmm. So I love, like, one thing that I was going to say you and I have run into several times already, considering how many things we've done, which is not a ton, right, to this point. Mm-hmm. But hanging out with, like, you and I, most of my public-facing work, like to the tune of, like, 90% involves you, right? So, like, we are friends and we hang out together in public, too. We do this. I'm not embarrassed to be seen with Zach in public. I can't say the same for him. So we're talking, and people are like, "Oh man, it sounds like I feel like I'm listening to your podcast right now." And it's like, "Yep, well, that's kind of the show." That's like,
the only difference is right now the mics aren't rolling.
That's it. That's the only difference. Because this is also the kind of shit. Like, these shows there could be much more of them, and they could be much longer. I promise you this. And that's one of the reasons I love doing the show so much, and I'm also very grateful to our sponsors for just being like, yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. You sure?
And very grateful to the people who dial it up and choose to listen to it.
Oh my God, yes. That's like the thing, because otherwise it's like, are we doing, like, we have a show, like, I have that moment. Like, we have a show, and the more I'm getting out there, how are we allowed to have a show? Well, everyone's allowed to have a show. In fact, most everyone does have a show.
Yeah.
So, just to buoy adrift in a sea of podcasts. But yeah, people like listening and like, I don't know, getting feedback in real time is like so rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And I love doing this. I really enjoy it.
Same.
Good.
Have a blast. That was a test. I passed.
You did. You did. I wanted to see. I don't want to speak for you, but at the same time, I'm like,
I'm loving it.
All right. Last show we were discussing talking smack. Spence and Zach talking smack.
Still hilarious title.
I love the title, but I don't want to just talk smack.
Me either.
Like, who are we? Like Morton Downey Jr.? You know who that is?
I only know his name because a friend of mine always refers to Robert Downey Jr. as Morton Downey Jr.
Sure. Morton Downey Jr. was an asshole shock TV show host who was just mean to everybody all the time. That's why I don't know who he is, because he's a fucking prick. He just talks smack the whole time. He wants to hang out with people who talk smack the whole time. Like, don't get me wrong. I reserve the right to talk some smack if I get a hair across my ass.
Or like the American Idol guy.
Oh, God. Yeah. He's so mean.
He's so mean.
Simon Cowell.
Yeah. There's also Gordon Ramsay. That's sort of his job, too, is just to tell people they're terrible.
Yeah. I don't get it. Like, why? That's dirty money.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how good I'd feel about that. You know, as I'm sitting in my rented residence and Gordon Ramsay's at the top of his man-made mountain.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, that would suck to just like tear people down. That would really get to me. It's like the same kind of person would do that. It would also be a parking meter attendant, right? It's like your only job is to hurt people's feelings or cost them money or inconvenience them greatly, or maybe all of the above. But yeah, it also just like the vibe doesn't feel right. Like now I think that makes a nice segment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we get something we want to talk some smack about, we can like ring in the theme song and talk some smack. But to base the show on that, I'm not interested. So, I did call Zach earlier because I also we have a friend. I'll keep it vague. Just so like there's some element of surprise, just because we are literally talking about this whole process in front of everybody. So the decisions that we make here on the show that you are hearing is what the show is going to become when we finally decide what that is. Worst rollout ever. We've seen great rollouts. You know what I mean? We've done our best to surprise people, right? Next Tuesday, it's like, how about this? Like we're working on the show right now, and when we're done, it'll just still be going but different.
Yeah.
We talked about bringing on a third person, which interests me. Mm-hmm. And Zach and I both have a new friend in town, and she popped into my mind like, this is a person that I've met recently, and we talk all the time, so that's good. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there are jokes and laughter, and so I approached her about it. She's mulling it over. She's checking out our work right now, Zach.
Excellent.
We're being vetted.
She started at the beginning. It's going to take her a year.
No, Jesus. No, I sent her an episode like, here, like if you don't like this, it's not for you. I think I sent her like the Paul Simon episode, or I sent her the pitch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, also a musician. It has really like a cool sounding voice. I think it's fair to say. Mm-hmm. and a sharp wit about them. And so yeah, I'm kind of into pursuing that. And then we were kind of kicking around ideas like what do we have like more of a format to the show? Do we like, does somebody come with an agenda? I believe I pitched, right? Like any one of us comes with an agenda, and then that's the that would be kind of cool. Like we could put the agenda out first, even if it's not like a surprise to the other two. Mm-hmm. But we could have the meeting agenda, the weekly meeting. Spitballing here.
Also, I like the idea of having a third who, in this person who we are speaking of, I think would be perfect for this. For somebody who has enough in common with us, but not everything in common with us, not like the 20-year history that we have, which is great, but sometimes gets in the way of our self-editing, or or realizing that just because we love something doesn't mean that everybody else is going to love it too.
Yes, and also having the freedom to not give a shit, kind of.
Exactly, but I think having a third person,
I do give a shit,
would stop us from doing a thing like doing a 3-hour episode on every Paul McCartney record. Because she could be like, sell me on Paul McCartney and just give me the highlights. I don't need every single album. Like just having somebody there that is not as into it as we are. I think
somebody who's not a huge, someone on the show who's not a huge nerd with testicles.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that could help.
Just give me the highlights. I don't need to hear everything. So we kind of need to hear that sometimes.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Mutts live longer,
Yeah.
Yeah, we might be a little bit too purebred for the format, the two of us. Like fucking best in show over here.
And also just, a new perspective to teach us new things, to introduce us to new new areas. Like, I think it'll be good.
Yeah. To quote Captain James T. Kirk, young minds, fresh ideas.
Yeah.
Right. So, So I think I'd like to explore that, and hopefully they will agree. And other than that, I almost want to not that I want to put all my eggs in that basket, but I kind of want to pause there before going into much more development on, like an alternative or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be nice to know if our person is actually interested in the position before we plan the whole show around her.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Let's not put the
horse before the cart
before the horse.
Or the other way around. The horse before the cart is exactly where you want the horse.
Yeah, you don't want that. Yeah. So, other than that, I think we could. I'd like to do more less sketches, but segments. I'd like there to be more segments. I think what I'd like is for there to be a conversational piece. Topical discussion. I think that's when you and I certainly are at our best. I wanted to talk for a minute about Conan, and then we spent a while on it. I don't know how long it was or how long I'll end up leaving it in the show, but probably all of it. But but yeah, so I think having a topic of discussion would be good, but then also having kind of like brainstorming games to play with each other, or like Q&A type of stuff. Even if it is like little sketches and segments, talking smack, whatever. I'd like to just see more of that.
Yeah.
I also think that we should get back into doing our weekly brainstorming meetings, because I know why we fell away from it, because shit got busy as hell. But I think having our writing meetings was very important.
Definitely.
I think looking back on the last season, that's when I was the most proud of what we were doing. But also, I think that you and I have a good. I feel much more comfortable on a microphone now than I did when I wish we were starting the show now.
Yeah.
Well, but that's not how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. I mean, if you're doing it right, you're getting better every time. So
there you go. Any thoughts, directional changes that you'd like to see?
I mean, I think basically everything you've outlined sounds great to me. Like, yeah, definitely it's more brainstorming and kind of pitch meetings and figuring out what we want to talk about. Maybe even outlining a format that maybe we don't stick to every week, but at least we have like a rough. Here's where we're going. You know, like we could have just like a fun fact of the week that a different person can bring to the table every time or something. You know, or I don't know, even like a recommendation of a movie or an album or something like that. They could randomly, I don't know, but could just be like a separate segment. Like before we start talking about today's topic, Spencer recommends 2010, the year we make contact.
Oh, like staff picks.
Yeah.
That's a great. I'm gonna write that down, Zach.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a tremendous idea. That's like when you go into Bull Moose. And you can see what everybody in the on the staff is vibing on that week. It's great stuff. So we have staff picks. We have Talking Smack.
And I still like a lot of the sort of recurring segments. Actually, there's a few that we haven't even recurred that we talked about having them as recurring, like the unsung heroes. I think that would be fun to, maybe do one where now if there's going to be three of us, we each bring one person to the table to focus, and that could be a whole show.
A segment that Melvin and I like talked about doing a talk show back in the day. Like, it would be over a day, 15 years ago. It's going to be a nightcap with Spence and Mel. It's going to take place like in a dive bar, but it's a set. We got pretty far, but I'll reach out to him. I bet he'd let us use it. We were going to do a character actor showcase.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Yep.
Arlie Ermy, so on. Character actor showcase. And you said unsung heroes?
Yep.
Here's to the underdog.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm still a big fan of Best of the Best, but we also talked about Worst of the Worst, Worst of the Best. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep BOTB going.
Yeah.
Worst of the best. Worst of the worst.
Best of the Worst. Yeah.
Best of the worst. Yeah, these are all good ideas. So what I think we should do is have our potential candidate join us as a guest on the show next week.
That's a great idea.
And then we can further this brainstorming.
Because again, like I think having the third on the show will stop us from going, insider baseball too often, even on some of the best of the bests and stuff. Like, you're like, I haven't seen all of those movies because only nerds have seen all of those movies.
Yeah. We basically need like a
like a moderator.
A moderator. Wow. Wonder if they want to be moderator. That's a nice title. That cracks. Slaps. Snaps. All right. Well, let's do that then. Let's queue them up for the guest next week, and we will continue to keep you up to date on every thought that we have in regards to changing the show, because we're talking about it here with you. And maybe this will end up qualifying as a cool little social experiment too.
Yeah, there you go. And next thing you know, Jimmy Fallon will be inviting us on his show to talk about how we're going to improve our show on his show.
For 15 seconds.
For 15
yes,
seconds.
That could be our thing. We're constantly in development. Maybe the show's called In Development with Spencer and Zach.
We never actually land on something, but it's the longest running
show.
We're in their 15th season, in development with Spencer and Zach.
We're about to enter into our fourth season, nearly 2 years into the program, and it has been constantly in development. So that's not untrue.
No, it's not untrue.
Should we call it development hell?
That's actually pretty good.
How about trapped in development hell? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's all in the name.
Yeah.
What is that show about? Well,
It's
not like they didn't warn you.
Yeah.
Trapped in development hell with Spencer and Zach and Person X.
Person X.
I can't wait to meet Person X. Well, good to talk to you. I'll talk to you next week.
You too. Nice job. Nice brainstorming.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
SAZETU is brought to you by Maine Spirits. Learn more about the spirits we bring into the state of Maine at mainspirits.com and what to do with them by downloading their app for your smartphone or visit them on Instagram at Maine_spirits. Promotional consideration provided by State Theater Portland. Learn more at statetheaterportland.com and Sun Tiki Studios. Learn more at suntikistudios.com.